And we're live. Hey, everyone. This is Lev from Trotec Canada. Everyone watching around the country and around the world, welcome for another week of Laser Jam sessions with our all-star panel, Mel, Mike, James, and Steven. Hey, guys. And our special guest today is Mr. Danny Hernandez from Buffalo, New York, right across the border from us. Welcome, Danny. Is it Dan or Danny? What do you prefer?
I'll answer to either one. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Dan's better, shorter.
Yep.
I normally answer to Michael only when my mother says it, right?
Right.
So Danny's only when your mother says it.
Right. Daniel in that group.
Daniel.
We call Mike my lord. My lord, sir.
Oh man! So Danny owns D-Nice Customs, which is a shop out of right downtown Buffalo. So Danny, we're gonna, I guess, the first 10-15 minutes, we're gonna talk about your business. First of all, how did you even get the name D-Nice Customs?
It's actually an old gamer tag I used when I used to play like PlayStation back in the day. Can't remember where it came up from, but I was just nice with it, so I just went with D-Nice.
Okay, very cool. So I'm going to show people your Instagram. If you want to tell us about your business, so where did it get started? How long you guys been in business in general?
Yeah, D-Nice Customs was a part-time thing. I started officially, I think, in 2014. I did start originally hand painting sneakers and doing graphics like that, and that morphed into getting a stencil cutter, making stencils, and then making hang tags for people. And then just those products evolved into better quality or better services that I'd offered. And I don't even have the time to paint sneakers anymore. I'm just a full-blown custom print shop, sign shop. I do a lot of stickers, banners, and wraps. So it's a custom shop. I don't specialize in one thing. I kind of tell my customers, if, present me an idea, I'll see if I can do it, and if I can't, then we will figure out how we can.
Well, that's very cool. So, by the way, if you guys are in the chat, have any questions for Danny about anything we're talking, just put your comments there, and we'll ask him about it. So, when you say hand paint, do you like spray paint? What do you do for hand painted sneakers?
Like those are from a buddy of mine, Brad. I actually made the box for him, Game of Thrones stream box. And so it's either hand painting, airbrushing is usually best with acrylic paints. Spray paint really wasn't hold up. It's, they also have to be worn, so it's a longevity thing.
Right. Wow. Okay. And so I guess the next question, where did you come up with the idea for the business? Like, where did it get started?
Like I said, it kind of just kept morphing as the time has gone on, just offering more products. People seen me, basically seen products that I was using on my own shoes or customer shoes, and then offered, asked if they can buy them. And then that turned into, selling and offering those products, but wanting to also get a better quality out of them. So that led to, purchasing different machinery to do different items. Those are a big seller, to hang tags right there. Someone use their logo. Instead of painting it on the sneaker, they can just use it as a keychain or a hang tag on the shoe.
Oh, I see. Cool. By the way, guys, from the panel, if any questions for Danny, just let us know. I'm gonna kind of go through these. And I mean, how did you grow from when you started to where you are now? I think.
Honestly, I mean, I prefer to grow organically, so slow, nothing too crazy, but just getting quality products out there, getting them in the hands of customers and buddies of mine, and seeing what they think, and making changes along the way. But that slow grow has allowed me to refine the process, dial in the quality. I've always been about top quality products. If I don't let it leave the shop if it's not quality. So that that's attributed to the growth of the business for sure.
Mm-hmm. And what about lasers? Where did you hear about lasers? I mean, what applications do you use? First of all, tell us what laser do you have? I mean, is it just one Trotec? Do you have anything else?
Yeah, my first laser was a Speedy 100. I've since upgraded as well to a Speedy 300. I would like to get a 400, maybe 500 if I have the room eventually, but just something to help process jobs faster.
Oh, very cool. Okay, and where did you hear about them in general? I mean, you said you were hand painting them before.
Yeah, I think when I was in architecture school, I think we had a lab that had a laser in it, and we didn't get to use it much. It was old, but I've seen them here and there. But one of the biggest things was back to hang tags. Originally, when I was making hang tags, they were only square, and I was buying like stock square sheets to print on of a thin kind of credit card material, plastic. And but I wanted them die cut to the shape of the item. And, doing it on a vinyl cutter would have just been a lot of wear and tear on the machine, a lot of blades. You can't get a real thick quality product. So I started researching lasers. The Glowforge was actually one that I backed back in the day, but it was just they kept missing their deadline as far as, getting us the machines. And, I was at that point heavy into research and missing opportunities. And then I just started researching, real lasers. And then I came across Trotec and a couple other ones. And I went with Trotec just because of the speed. I was intrigued by the ceramic core. I didn't want to have to deal with any water chillers or any other, components like that some of the other lasers have. So, I bought my first one, drove down to Florida, picked it up, and been running with it ever since.
Wow.
I don't know if you scroll further down on my page, I actually have a homemade exhaust system I built for it because I was just in my 1-bedroom apartment at the time. And the exhaust system was pretty impressive. A lot of people liked the way that I engineered that to work out of some Tupperware boxes and stuff. And it worked really well until,
I don't think we want to show that, Lev.
Is it? Well, I'll get to it eventually, I think.
Yeah, it'll be lower, but those right there, the shoelaces are a big thing. Back to the the question of what's the weirdest thing you might have engraved on. I don't really have any weird stories. I kind of implemented on items that I've never seen before. So the shoelaces were definitely a challenge to figure out. Those are leather shoelaces. Sneakers in general, sticking a shoe in there and trying to get it level and trying to get the engraving consistent is always a challenge. And just figuring out ways to do those,
Very cool. And I mean, we generally get this question about pricing jobs. I mean, almost every single week, I think. How do you, obviously without getting into too many details, how do you price jobs? I mean, all the jobs are custom, I guess, or do you have like specific? Actually, you do have specific products. I'll show you people your Etsy store. But I mean, how do you price jobs on the general products that you sell versus the one-offs or the custom ones that people come to you?
Yeah, pricing has always been a challenge. They kind of call up your competitors and see what they're doing, but it's like I'm doing so much custom items that I'm the only one doing them, or there's not much out there. So I try to really just figure out what my time into it is, what the product and materials are, and what I'd be happy with. And sometimes it's an experiment, and sometimes I take a loss, but you try not to do that too much, but get the experience out of it, and then price accordingly after that. But I do like my prices to be affordable. I want to sell products. I much rather get more products out there than sell less products at a higher price, but rather sell more products at a lower price and get them in the hands of customers for sure.
Well,
yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I think the one thing maybe we can have Danny talk about is I think this is a clear example of how you have a like one of our customers, but like somebody doing lasering that has to spend a lot of time in designing that job, right? Like he's not just spitting out, a generic, ornament with some text on it or whatever, right? So, I think that's our viewers would probably like to have him explain a little bit how he figures out the pricing for the amount of time that he puts into that job before he even goes and produces it. Right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I have an hourly rate that I'm comfortable with making, for my own personal hourly rate. And again, sometimes I don't know how long a job may be. So there's been plenty of times when I tell a customer, listen, I'm just going to have to do this, and we either agree upon a price, but I'll get that time for future jobs to know what it is. And a lot of the guys that bring me these, one-off custom jobs, they're more than willing to do it that way, only because they know I'll produce a quality product at the end. So again, pricing is difficult, but once I have, a few jobs under my belt, I could better price and material costs and all that stuff. That's like a standard, you could work with. It's more so like that design time, like Mike said, putting into it and even trying to find out where I could lessen that too. It's when you're designing it, how can I get a generic design template that would work for this and could be applied to other jobs like this?
What would you charge for your design time? You don't mind me asking?
I'm comfortable at $30 an hour for me.
Okay.
And that's flexible, but honestly, I'm able to design quickly, just with my background and everything. So that's usually where I start off at. And, I can crank something out like that Game of Thrones box that I did. I designed that in a couple of hours, to finished product pretty much, where, you don't have to play with test cuts and tolerances and all that stuff. I already know all that. So it's all calculated in there in the design.
Yeah, what software are you using?
No, just a second. No, so for Mel.
Yeah.
Just one further thing. How much does the design time money that you generate account for a percentage of your sales or your profit? Do you know that, or
no? I don't know that off the top of my head.
How about, would you guess at it?
I couldn't. I never even thought of it myself. Like I'm honestly, I'm just looking to get the job done, get it out. I know at the end of the day, it's profitable.
Sure.
And my accountant doesn't like that part of the deal either. It's, the book end of bookkeeping of it, all that. It's, it's all a headache, but at the same time, I know the business is moving forward and constantly turning a profit at the end of the year. So that right now, some people get hung up on, how much do I charge? Am I losing money? And it's like, well, at what point do you actually start creating and start making products for people to buy? You're getting hung up too much on the, are you losing money aspect? As long as the bills are covered and you're comfortable at what you're taking home, you should be okay to coast on that for a little while and build up your products and build up your knowledge and then fine tune that stuff along the way.
Yeah. And I'm only asking because I think that a lot of times, as we've discussed before in the channels, that people don't account for the time that they take putting into the design, the setup of the product. And you're a good example of somebody who has artistic abilities, who has to design a lot of things that are one-off. So, you and to a certain point, you have to be reimbursed for that time. What it is, that's up to you. But I mean, it's good to see that you are making some money out of that. It's a good example for a lot of other people to realize that not only should you be making money from your machine, but you should also be making money from the time that you spend generating the design of that product or the setup of that product.
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, the machine has to pay for itself at the end of the day. So, as long as it's making its monthly payment of any machine that I may have, and then I'm getting paid to a wage that I'm happy with, and then material, products, costs, and all that stuff is taken care of. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Good.
Mel, you wanted to?
No, I'm just curious. Like first, I just want to find out what software you're using to design your stuff. And number two, I see a lot of expensive stuff here. Like those shoes, I know how much they cost. Like you got an Ultra Boost in there, the Jordan 4s. Those are really pricey stuff. So how do you account for like risk factor when you're doing one-offs like those?
Yeah, right? Risk factor is huge. There's a pair in there that's about $4,000 that I engraved on some off-white Jordan 1s. And those were for a buddy of mine. And, again, I just tell him like, listen, man, this is not leather. It's a composite material that they're using now. It's going to be an experiment. I'm going to do everything that I can in order to, minimize the risk of messing it up. But at the end of the day, it is an experiment. And, that's the risk that I'm taking. I don't have them sign a waiver or anything, but I just really make sure that they understand, what could potentially happen. but they trust me enough to, let me go forward with it. There was a pair of, back to the painting sneakers, there was a pair of Kanye West sneakers. They were about $6,000 at the time. And a guy wanted me to paint. Yeah. He wanted me to repaint the midsole in order for him to resell them. And it's like, yeah, I'll do it. But, again, same thing. It's like, this is the risk we're taking, but at the end of the day, they worked out great. And I honestly think I've only messed up one pair of shoes, and it was a personal pair. I usually try to whenever I get into experimenting and testing, I'll run testing on personal pairs or loaner beater pairs or anything before I do it on a customer job for sure.
So just look for the guy walking around Buffalo with beat up odd painted shoes or whatever. Danny.
Yeah. I got a few pairs around here. They just got all kind of laser marks. They got all kind of testing, just because that's what it is for. It's like I get my settings correct on that. Switching over from the Speedy 100 at 40 watt to the 300 at 80 watt, all the settings are different. So it's like, okay, I got to start all over with all my base settings and figure them out again.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good tip. Like any application that involves really expensive stuff, always test it on a sample material before you actually try to hit the start button on that one, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a few questions here from the audience. Danny, Trophy King's asking composite material, is that PVC? Do you know? Like you mentioned composite material on the sneakers.
Oh, nah, that particular shoe, I don't believe it could have been a composite material. Whether it was PVC or not, I had no way of testing it. I know that's not.
I mean, you know that, yeah, we shouldn't be generally putting PVC in the lasers.
No, for that particular shoe, I just went and ran it. A little bit isn't going to hurt it, but at the same time, any other materials that I have enough to test, I certainly do the burn test on them, make sure that flame isn't green, and then we go from there. There are some materials that I have to turn away that do have PVC in them.
And Tekena is asking what model machines are you using. So Danny mentioned he has the Trotec Speedy 300, and you started with the Speedy 100. So you have two right now?
Yes, yeah, I do have both. Yep.
Perfect. Trophy King's also saying, how big is the drawer which holds all the misprints and mistakes?
Not too big, honestly. Like I said, I try to mitigate that as much as I can. So there's only a few pairs of shoes that I have the misprints and mistakes, but those were early on. Once you get those settings, they really don't change.
Hey, how do you think life would have been like, if you wouldn't have went with Trotec and would have actually continued with that Glowforge? How do you think?
Self-promotion there, James?
Well, I know I'm genuinely curious. Like, where do you think it would have taken you? Would you have been able to do the same stuff?
No, because the biggest reason I went with the Glowforge in the beginning was it just seemed like an obtainable laser at the time. The price point, especially when it was being backed, it was at a discounted rate, but it did have drawbacks. I didn't know anything about wattage or speed or anything yet, but I knew it was a slower machine, but also the depth is what I needed to fit those sneakers in there. And it didn't have that. So before I even got the machine, I was already thinking of ways to modify it, whether I cut out the bottom of it so I could put it raised up and have the shoe exposed, figuring out some kind of exhaust system for it. It would have been, life would have been a lot harder with it. And it would have got to the point where I like buying machines that I grow into versus buying what I need right now. And it would have been something that if I would have gone through with it, I would have already been behind and past it, and I would have been upgrading to a bigger laser anyway.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I pulled the plug on that, and then I started researching, and then eventually found the 100 that I purchased, and went from there, and it did everything I needed it to do. And then I did, within a week of figuring out settings and figuring out how to use it, I was like, I already want a bigger one. I want a faster one, a higher wattage.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Have you ever done any Chuck E. T's, the cloth ones, the cotton ones?
No, I've done some leather patches that kind of go on the logo of those.
You just dated yourself, Mike.
Yeah,
Chuck
I mean,
Taylors, man, like holy.
yeah, Chuck Taylors are still popular. I've painted some leather ones. I've painted the cloth ones, but I haven't engraved on any. No, not yet.
Cloth ones come out really nice because they go white, right? A lot of times.
Yeah,
right?
that was my
Oh, did
first basketball shoes. It's really hard to play on those.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Oh,
they're
no,
terrible for support.
grade 9 and grade 10 was like
Yeah.
was those, and then grade 11 I spent all my summer money I earned, and I went and bought a leather pair of Adidas. That was like a huge thing on the basketball court, was to have leather shoes. It was a big deal. So
Awesome. We're getting some more questions. I need to learn how to do this on my Speedy 100. Is there a training course on how to do this? So if you're talking about specifically engraving and cutting, we do in Canada, we offer online courses, online trainings with our applications engineer. So if you're in Canada, just reach out to us. You'll see we have our contact information at the bottom of this video. If you're not in Canada, I would suggest just reach out to your local Trotec representatives. Depending if it's a subsidiary or a distributor, they can show you what kind of training they offer in the local countries. Stefan Jerome actually has a good question. It was part of my question I was going to ask Danny. Are you doing any stuff for COVID, face shields, sneeze guards, that's the kind of stuff?
No, I haven't got into any of that. When that all first hit, business did slow way down, and I was exploring into possibly doing that. I had a couple buddies reach out, and it was more so me supplying them with the cut materials of whatever it may be. But their end never worked out. I did cut a few masks for friends and family and stuff like that, but it never turned into anything greater than just that. And then, business picked up, and it's kind of been spotty here and there. So I just didn't have time to research it and get into it. It's not a material that I normally stock. So it would have just all been brand new to me as well.
Perfect. Perfect.
Oh, I really like that one.
Yeah, those are some of the first sneakers that I did under D Nice Customs way back then.
So did you actually cut the bandanas and put
No. The bandana is just there for effect. That's all hand painted on the
Wow.
suit. Yeah.
Wow.
And you actually mentioned to us earlier that you have a Mamaki UV printer.
Correct.
How long have you had the printer?
That one I'm coming up on a year. And the whole reason on getting behind that was, again, back to those hang tags that I made. The biggest job I've ever did with them. They're a keychain like hang tag. They're about 2 inches. I did 700 of them. And what I was doing back before the UV printer was printing them on my roll-to-roll, a vinyl cutter, cutting the blank in the laser, manually mating the two, and then, shipping them off. It just took entirely too long. And, that's one of those lessons. It's like, hey, I took the job, I learned, it allowed me to see what the pitfalls may be, and then start researching a different machine that can get this done quicker. And then that machine not only handles that job, but also opened up the door for so many other, UV printed jobs in conjunction with the laser and all of that.
I love these, by the way. These are awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, those are a buddy of mine did those. I bought that pair from him. That's his signature style shoe. I cut out all the leather for him. He made the dust bag from scratch. I have those in the shop here. I'm also a fan of sneakers and the artists that do them. So I back a lot of my buddies and friends that, do the same thing as me, just to get their product out there even more so.
Very cool. But by the way, if you guys own a Trotec and want to be on this show as well, just reach out to us and we can make that happen. LCD is actually asking you, Danny, what model of I guess the UV printer do you have?
It's Mamaki MK2 6042, I believe it is.
6042, yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned before to us that you just got the Vision camera system.
Yeah. So I bought that at the Vegas show right before COVID hit, and I wasn't able to get a technician to come out here. I had asked you guys on a previous episode of this how difficult it was to install the camera, and I dove into it. It wasn't too bad. The PDF can use a little bit of updating, but it went in there no problem.
Oh, so you installed it yourself?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, cool. Awesome. So for anybody that doesn't know what the Vision camera system is, Danny, do you want to kind of tell us how you came about it? how it works in your mind as a customer?
It's basically, when you're getting into print and cut, I'm used to it with my roll-to-roll vinyl cutters. You print on one, laminate it, cut, and the registration marks will allow that cut to be spot on every time. Manually doing it is possible, but it takes some time. It takes, a lot of setup time. And if you have a job that is repetitive, it's not cost effective or time effective. So, I already have the machine that could print the material and do the registration marks. I just needed the camera system in order to read them accurately. And, that's exactly what the vision system did. And, as soon as it got set up, I used it for a job and, it just went so much faster.
Very cool. So you only had it for a week, but you're happy with the camera there. I'm just showing the video how it works. It reads the registration marks and then cuts. So you're happy with it at this point?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I researched it heavily. I paid attention to it at some shows. I actually went to one of your Chicago locations and did a demo on it not too long ago. And, it's just the accuracy of it and the speed of it is just amazing. It still, baffles me how fast and accurate it moves. And, I knew it would work for my application. It was just, getting it installed and going from there.
Sorry, and what materials do you use with the UV print? Is it paper or acrylic or?
Yeah, I print on everything. Leather. Leather's a big thing.
You print on leather. Wow.
Yeah, on my Instagram, there's some leather pieces that I would print the sheet of leather, and then people would actually take that and turn into a shoe. But I do wood, acrylic, plastics, paper. If it'll fit in the machine, it's got a 6-inch depth too, so it could get printed on and go from there.
Very interesting.
Yeah, interesting. The Air Jordans right there on the bottom left, underneath my logo. Yeah, right there. Those are $4,000 pairs of shoes that I engraved the heel and the sole. So those are the ones that I was talking about. That I was just like, hey, it's an experiment. It's not leather. It's a composite material. We'll see how it turns out. I do my testing and everything to make sure. I use the blue painter's tape to make sure my alignment's all right, and then, give it a go.
Very
It's
cool.
interesting, Lev, on that cutout when you were showing that video of the camera system, how they have a piece of pre-mask down on the table and then the holes cut out.
Yeah.
And then they just set that piece into the hole. So you see the masking all around the outside. And then the hole that's cut out on the grid, it fits the piece. That gives you that maximum downdraft on the table.
Oh, right. All the white stuff, like around the.
Yeah, it's there to
masking. The masking here. Yeah. Actually, we have a question about is that vision camera system purchased through Trotec? Yes, that is a Trotec camera system called Job Control Vision. So if you're reach out to your local country's Trotec rep, and you can get that vision camera system as well. Awesome. I have some more questions for you, Danny. This is going really well. So what type of customers buy from you in terms of demographic, age? Is it all personal? Do you sell to other businesses? As I don't know, promo items for corporate events or that sort of thing? What kind of demographics?
Yeah, I mean, I try not to turn away any job. I do wholesaling. My demographic in started off with just, basically the sneaker community and what I brought to it. And then I kind of started in reverse order. I sold mainly online and had an online retail store. And within the last 3 years, I've been working on inviting more people into the shop and making it a brick and mortar where they could come pick up items. So it's been working out good. So my demographic, it's all over the place, I believe. I'm getting more into the traditional plaques and awards and tumblers and stuff like that, just because people also want that as well. So it's just another lane of business that I never got into, but I am getting into now.
Yeah, Roy is asking $4,000 shoes. That's U.S. Who are you selling to? So what?
That's actually that's just a $4,000. That's what they sell for on the street. They're a limited shoe. They're a rare shoe. Nike sold them for $250, $300, and then the resale market is $4,000, and it doesn't waver from there too often. So, if I were to mess up that shoe, I can't buy it for $300. It will be, 4,000 plus. So that's how that world is.
But do they consider it as a mess up? Like if you engrave it as do they consider that as defective?
The quality away from it? Yes and no. It depends on whose it is. A lot of these guys who are buying these shoes to begin with and own these shoes, they're not selling them. So they can care less about reselling them for that amount. They're fans of the shoe and sneakerheads in general. So they just want to make their rare shoe more personalized to them and get their logo, name, whatever engraved on it.
And 5-Star Awards is asking on the Air Jordans, what was a beautiful black against the white? Did you paint it all, or was it all laser settings? If you can share, that's actually a good question about laser settings. But I don't know if you want to answer that, Danny.
I'd have to see what they were talking about. But the majority of the sneakers that are engraved do get a color fill. The leather on shoes isn't the greatest quality, so it varies in burn color, brown, sometimes gray. So I do offer a color fill just because it gives that contrast as well that is pleasing to view from the eye, and it majority of the time needs it.
And actually, a good point. I mean, if it's a $5,000 sneaker and you want to test, where do you even do a test engraving? Like, if you want to set your power and speed, how do you decide it?
Right. That goes back to that particular shoe. There was no testing involved. It was just going off of previous leather settings that I already knew. Again, that shoe is made out of like a composite material. It's not leather. So it was start off low and slow and go from there and see where we end up. If I much rather do multiple passes than just one deep, heavy pass and mess it up. So I rather go that low and slow way.
Mm-hmm. And 5-Star is also asking if for the Mamaki, if you're using flexible inks. If you know,
they offer three inks. I'm right in the middle of the road. I print on so many different things. So I went with the I believe it's 120. Yeah, ULS 120.
I guess what I'm wondering, Lev, is Danny seems like a really talented artist. So I'm wondering if he's one of those guys that are doing the buildings, on the side of the railway cars and everything like that. Like, is he good with the spray can and everything?
Street art. Yeah.
No, do you do any street art?
No. I would love to. I would love to have picked that up, but my background is in my background's mainly in architecture, applied design. I've been into arts my whole life, so just a culmination of all those things led to me where I'm at now, and using the programs that I use and having that knowledge even before getting into lasers and stuff like that.
If you don't mind me asking, how many employees do you have? Do you have any designers on staff, or do you do all the design?
No, it's just me.
Oh, it's just you. Wow, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And that ultimately would be the next thing is getting an in-house designer, mainly just to help split the workload. Get them trained up on some machines so they could help, just get stuff out the door a little quicker.
Is this what you were talking about? No, never mind. I thought this was the vent system for the.
Oh no! Look at the polishing machine.
It's like two
there we go.
Two big Tupperware totes stacked on top of each other, and then the blower motor right next to it.
Okay. I guess the next question would be, how do you advertise and market the business? We've obviously, you're very prominent in social media. Is that all that you do? Is there any other kind of streams that you use?
No, social media is mainly where I do it. Consistent with posts, consistent with stories. And back in the day, before they changed the algorithm and Facebook bought it and stuff like that, it was much easier to do that and track it. Now it's kind of all over the place. But that goes back to, again, like I said, starting online first. I haven't advertised in any traditional ways. Occasionally I'll throw up a sponsored or a paid advertising on Facebook or something like that, but I never felt that they do anything. I don't know if the likes that they're getting are generated. If it doesn't turn into a sale that says, hey, I seen your advertisement, you don't know where it came from. So yeah, it's just, grinding it out on social media and hashtags are a big thing, using your hashtags properly. You get 30 of them, use all 30 by all means, and tailor them to your post or your product you're doing.
Do you sell on Instagram and Facebook?
Yeah, in order to sell on Instagram, you have to have a Shopify account. I actually closed my Shopify middle of last year sometime. It just wasn't producing sales like it needed to. But, Facebook DMs, PayPal invoices, purchase it through, I'll make a special listing if it's something that gets to get purchased through Etsy. But majority of the sales go through PayPal and Etsy.
Mm-hmm. We actually have a question. Stephen, I think you could chime in here as the tech. Will the job control system work with any other lasers? Is it a standalone system? Oh, sorry, I think you're on mute there. Stephen, sorry, you're on mute.
He's trying to unmute himself. Yeah, basically the system, the job control system only works on a Trotec laser.
We want to hear Stephen's voice.
Yeah, Mike.
There he is.
For Trotec systems.
There he goes.
Yeah, will the job control system work with other lasers, or is it a standalone system?
It's a standalone system for Trotec lasers. It's available as an option on our machines or as an outright purchase with your machine.
Thanks, Stephen. It's all. Yeah, it hasn't been too technical now, but it's good. It's good that we have Stephen. If anybody wants real technical questions, he's our tech director, so he can answer them. Danny, Nicole's asking, how long have you been laser engraving?
I want to say I bought my first Speedy in about 3 years ago, maybe going on 4.
Oh, that's it. So the Speedy 100 you bought about 3-4 years ago, and the 300 you bought recently?
The 300 I picked up a little over a year ago. I purchased a business in Virginia, and it came with the 300 or the rotary, all of their inventory. So I recently started getting into that and offering a lot. They did a lot of glass engraving. So I recently got into doing glass with a sand carver. I have an Iconic sandblaster. I know you guys work with them with their Blazer orange material for the laser. It works really well, and that's what I've been getting into pretty much this year.
Oh, very cool. And in terms of selling, do you sell like locally within the state, or do you sell across the U.S. or internationally? Where would you say your customers are mostly based at?
I sell all over the place. A lot of U.S. based. I've shipped stuff internationally all the time. Shipping is pricey, unfortunately, especially for some of these, heavier items. But yeah, I have no problem shipping internationally at all.
Do you sell a lot in Canada as well?
Yeah, I ship to Canada once in a while. It's still, I don't know why, but it's a little bit cheaper than going overseas. But they still charge a premium.
Yeah, no comment on our customs. And then, so, I mean, would you say 100% of your business comes from online? Is there any kind of walk-in business? Do you do any kind of events? What percentage would you say comes from online business?
Yeah, 100% for sure. I was actually, my plan for this year was to start going to more local craft fairs and getting a foothold in local, Buffalo is a real crafty town. We have all kinds of different craft fairs and events where, you could set up a stand and products like I do would sell. So that was my plan, but, COVID changed all of that, but that was my next move in doing more local outreach like that. But everything, whether it's social media or email or, I don't have a business line. So all the orders are coming from online in some form.
Mm-hmm. Is there any kind of trade shows for custom shoes or
Oh yeah, yep, yeah. SneakerCon is a big one.
Sorry, what's the name?
SneakerCon.
Oh, SneakerCon, and is that like in a city in the U.S. or is that across the U.S.?
No, they go all over. They go international too. I haven't been one to a little while, but it's basically a trade show. It's a convention for people to sell, buy, sell their other products. I've been to them before. There might be some pictures in my Instagram of the booth and stuff.
We had a question from GC Productions. As a blind person, I've sold on Facebook for a while, but now Facebook has kicked me out of the platform, and I have stuff there, but nobody's seeing it. So I don't mind and understand why is it happening. I've never seen that. Why would Facebook kick a business out? Danny, did you ever have any issues like that with Facebook, like getting banned or anything?
No, I haven't. I mean, I know, sometimes they have bots that kick certain words out, and it's usually a misunderstanding, but trying to get a hold of, a person to talk to at Facebook or Instagram, it's impossible. So, stuff like that, it's unfortunate that you can't do much about it.
Yeah, JCA Productions, I would probably recommend to reach out to Facebook directly and find out why it's happening. Not sure about that. JC's also asking, what kind of Etsy would you recommend for me to sell on what platform? And my big question is, how can I cut vinyl on the laser? If there's any vinyl safe material, would love to see a Speed 100. So let's kind of break it down. Stephen or Mike, I mean, in terms of vinyl, is there any kind of vinyl that JC Productions can cut, as far as you know?
Substitutes this now. Word vinyl is key here. So let's rather call it sign film. There are sign films that are compatible with a laser that are based on a substance other than PVC, which is polyvinyl chloride. So I'm avoiding the word vinyl here. So there are sign films that are compatible with the laser that do not contain vinyl.
Yeah, I think you'd want to definitely call up some of the vinyl suppliers in the U.S. I know JC's from Florida. It's on last week. And I can't say any names here, but certainly there's some big suppliers in the U.S. and ask them. I mean, we do sell a transfer material. Trotec does. That is safe to etch. So again, if you're putting it on clothing or something like that, and we do have something here. But again, if you're looking for some other material, what I would do is reach out to the manufacturers and ask them.
Yeah, and that question about Etsy, Danny, I mean, is most of your, obviously without any details, most of your sales come from Etsy, or is there one site that pushes most of the merchandise?
Again, Instagram pushes all the merchandise.
More than Etsy?
Yeah, I only do because it's a visual platform. I only direct people to Etsy to actually finish the sale. But if it's something that's not listed on Etsy, then it's just a PayPal invoice that I send them. And then, at least they get to see the product on Instagram. And then not all the products that are on my Instagram are for sale on Etsy. Or if they have a custom product, it's not going to be for sale on Etsy. So PayPal is also involved just to send that invoice, or Square or any other, platform for doing transactions.
Yeah, that's a good point. And before we go to more priority questions, my last question to you would be, I guess, what was your favorite product to do on the laser? I mean, obviously, I think shoes, but anything specific comes to mind, like any?
There was a Game of Thrones plaque that I did. My brother had asked me if I could do it. It's like a map of their world. And I think
I saw it on your Etsy store here.
Yeah, the amount of detail that you're able to get, and working on that file for that's probably 7 iterations of just file work alone, and updating it throughout the process, and getting it to do the depth that I wanted it after cleaning and processing it, and the detail of it. It's definitely a quality showpiece. It is one of my favorite ones to do. Just the amount of work in that. Probably the most work I've ever put into any one product.
How did you even design it? I mean, did you buy any maps, like existing maps from
I found like an existing map of what it looked like. In the show, they really don't show it all, but what it looked like, and then where the lands were. Updated added some extra wording in there, added some extra roads and rivers, and really got it to work where the laser isn't going to obliterate the material. But also, get it to work after sanding or whatever after processes needed to happen. So, I've been working on that. It's at a point right now where I don't need to touch it anymore. I don't want to dedicate any more time. But honestly, like the compass rose is really small. If you zoom in on that, the detail that is in there, that stuff is really hard to, because so much material is removed around it. That stuff is just barely holding on. So you need to, manually go in there and widen the text, widen the letters, make the insides of E's and A's and O's, so that part can be seen and not be filled in. So it's a process.
And I mean, there's so much engraving in the C area here. Do you mask it somehow, or you do mask it? Oh, no.
No,
okay.
I don't. The only reason I don't is because the masking on something that detailed, it kind of just gets in the way. The smaller pieces either vaporize and doesn't matter, or they would blow off. I got a pretty strong exhaust system. So, but then also I do an after cleaning process and so that usually, there's no reason to mask when I already plan on doing that. You wouldn't get the results of how this looks with it masked. You would still have to do something to it. So I just eliminate the mask, but I do mask a lot of stuff. It is helpful.
And how long how long does the after cleaning last on something like this? Like you mentioned after cleaning, in terms of sanding it down, what do you usually do with this?
That's a pre-made.
Can you say that
plaque.
again? I don't know what happened. The
connection was
cut
cut
again
out
one more time.
No problem. I was going to ask, how long does it take you to do the after cleaning, and what do you do with the after cleaning? Is it just sanding it down?
In the beginning, I was getting blank cherry boards made for me. So I would router the edges and put that coping on the side, sand front and back. I put my logo on the back as well. So just really cleaning it up. When you engrave wood that much, a lot of the sugars come to the top, and it gets kind of sticky or tacky. So I don't want to send it out the door like that. So it gets cleaned up. And then I found these pre-made boards that work for my design. So it eliminates me having to router the edges and do much more sanding. And these come pre-finished, so it helps clean up a little bit better too. But there still is cleaning process done.
Dan, it's very consistent. Did you put any stain on it after?
No.
No stain?
Yeah, this is actually a pre-made board that I buy from a company. I used to stain mine, but in order to get the contrast of land and sea, I wanted that consistency so that when you're looking at it on the wall, it shows that contrast.
That's an alder there, Danny?
Yes, it is alder. Yep.
Yeah.
So no problem with any trademarks or copyright issues?
None so far. I mean, this piece was, like I said, I did it as a gift, and threw it up there. Sell one or two, but that's about it.
140. Wow, that's
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Oh, there's a lot of big fans.
That's nothing. Easy.
Yeah, and a lot of fans for Game of Thrones. They're gonna spend that money for sure.
Yeah.
Take this to Dubrovnik. You're gonna sell.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I said take this to Dubrovnik. You'll probably sell thousands of this.
Oh yeah.
when I originally did that first one, it was on the 40 watt, and it was taking I think it was taking an hour and a half to do one, and then when I got the 80 watt, it jumped down to about 50 minutes in time, and the design grew a little bit. The original one didn't have all the little logos on the side, so it's doing more work in less time, in just the difference in wattage.
You engrave it left to right or up and down, or it's faster if you do it horizontal, right? But
yeah, the machine it lays in there horizontal, yep, and then it goes from bottom up, left and right, yep.
Yeah, gotcha. I guess my question is, where's the Starbucks cup in that map?
There you go. James got it covered.
Oh, have you considered selling these kind of items, like the Game of Thrones map, to, I don't know, memorabilia, like other businesses as opposed to consumers, like memorabilia shops or anything out there like that, like so you can sell it en masse versus one at a time on the web?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. It's not something I explored. If you go back to my Instagram, there's those houses that I engrave. Those I do sell in mass. I work with some local realtors, and every time they sell a house, that's their closing gift to their customer.
Oh, cool.
And those sell really well, and those keep me busy all day long. And they've been really good on the laser.
Lev, go
Yeah.
back to that picture of the house. Sorry.
The house, this one?
Yeah, just look at the amount of hashtags he has in Instagram for the product,
Yeah.
right? Which is what Danny was talking about earlier about putting tags up there that are appropriate for the product, and he's got a number of them there, so people find him.
Right. Like I
Right.
said, you get 30 hashtags. The best thing you can do is tailor them. There's some generic ones in there, but tailor them to what you're posting would help. And you never really want to copy and paste your hashtags for every item you put up, because anyone searching those hashtags, they're only going to see, that item, those items under those hashtags. You want to mix it up a little bit. In there, there's at least 3 or 4 different trades that I call out, because it's that universal. Anyone could, buy this, and it doesn't have to be just houses. I got some portraits I do that sell really well, and gifts. It's endless on what you can do with it.
Yeah. So a question there, Danny, are you, every house that you're doing, or you're cutting out the background then? Because to me, that's always the best way of doing it. Right?
Yeah.
What you've done there, right?
I followed some of your YouTube videos, Mike, on, how you process
There you go.
and, trying to figure settings that work best for me. And, it's really dependent on quality of the picture to start with, your skill in photoshopping it. And then, the laser does the finished product, but a lot of time goes into the artwork setup.
And if you don't mind me asking, how much do these run at? Like in pricing?
I buy the, I think this is Alder as well. I buy these. Yeah, I'm able to pass that savings on to the customer. So I sell these for $65
US.
65 US. Yep. And then if shipping's involved or anything, obviously, we'll add that in.
That's about 250 in Canada, right?
No, I mean, you can technically make an entire business just doing this, just having a website for
What
these,
is the price, Dan? What size is this?
I want to say that's 9x12.
Okay.
9x12.
I was going to say 9x12 is what it looks like. I would say, yeah.
Yeah, it's 9x12.
Size.
It's it's a good size for that. One thing with, when you're pricing things out, it's how much does it weigh? And when it's getting ready for shipping, how much is it going to cost to ship? It's like, you can set your prices at whatever you're going to set them at comfortably. But when it comes to paying shipping, the customer, are they going to purchase it at that point? So, getting something oversized would be nice and show much more detail, but the shipping end of it kills you.
Yeah, we have a customer out in BC. It's called Divina de Nuevo, and they do a lot of leather stuff. But they have a secondary business where it's called Hearts Papery, and they do a lot of promo items like cufflinks, like for weddings and that sort of thing. So they actually split the business. Did you ever consider doing like something like this as a separate, let's say, instead of D Nice Customs, it'll be another brand name, and just doing like real estate home signs like this?
Yeah, I've considered it, mainly because I offer so many products. My Instagram is so big, but it's mainly consistent with sneaker culture. So any products like this or personal, gifts and stuff like that, it kind of gets lost in the mix. So I have been thinking about either setting up a whole different Instagram for that stuff and building it up and seeing where I can get with it. It's just right now I'm just producing and getting the stuff out there. I have a stockpile of products that I've never posted in hopes of eventually setting up that second one and getting it out there and offering it.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, just if we're still looking at, because somebody's asking about the software that Danny's using, but I think the beauty of this picture of this house is it's probably done is it done by professional photographer? Is it done by the real estate agent?
No, I wish.
Oh, it's okay.
One of my requirements for them was to obviously supply the picture for me, but I would prefer them even taking it with a higher number iPhone or a new Android phone would be much better than what's usually on the MLS or online. Yeah. And they just don't have the time. They're crisscrossing the city or even further out to go get those pictures. So majority of the time I'm stuck with MLS photos, and it's like, I don't have, I'll Google the address and try to see if I could find a better image, or if they just sent me one that wasn't that great. Majority of the time I end up changing it. But that again is where the editing comes into play, and really using Photoshop or Illustrator and getting those tones out in order to get them engraved properly. Because if I were to just engrave this on regular image, you won't, like, it always trips me out to see the address on the wood or the stars in that flag. It's just like those little details get lost in the engraving if not properly set up in the file.
Yeah. And that's the nice thing about alder is it gives you a really nice nice dark background, and you have that light front, so you get good contrast, which it looks really, really nice, because there's not really, other than just cleaning the plaque with a damp cloth, that's really about all you have to do, right? From a finishing standpoint. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then again, with the editing, sometimes I'm removing a tree, I'm removing a car, I'm removing power lines, something that doesn't look good in the photo, but it's too big and it covers up this would look like terrible if there's a big tree trunk cutting through half of it. You wouldn't know what it is. So sometimes I have to, take that time to actually go in there and draw a window, draw a siding, and patch the artwork together in order for it to look proper.
How much time do you think you normally take from the time the customer's calling for this to the time they got it in their hands? How much time do you think you spend producing this from sale to delivery?
For one of these house plaques?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could turn them out. I usually have him come pick up like 5 or 6 at a time. So when I just do batch editing, I'll bring them in, I'll edit them all, and then I'm just running them on the laser as they come off. So I could edit one of these photos, and if it doesn't need like major work, I could edit them within a half hour and get it ready on the laser.
Mm-hmm. What's roughly the engraving time on these? Just about, like, is it 15 minutes?
It varies, obviously, but I would say 15, 20 minutes for the front, and then with the text and everything. I mean, the house itself it's a very light surface and etching. You don't want to go too deep.
You don't go too deep.
Yeah, the text and everything, and then I don't think I have a photo of the back where I put the realtor's logo and information. All that is a lot deeper, just so it hits harder. But that's just solid, black. Everything else is just monochromatic and everything. So it goes pretty fast.
Mm-hmm. And sorry, what software are you using for the design? Is it Illustrator?
Yeah, I use so many. I use Photoshop, Illustrator. I haven't got into Corel Draw. It seems nice, but I use FlexiSign, AutoCAD. Anything I can do to get vector line work and stuff that I know my workflow is a lot faster in.
And we actually got a question to LCD. I think he was talking about the Westeros map. Is that only one run deep for the map?
One run, yeah, yep. That's all, just one pass.
One pass. Wow.
Yeah, it's nothing that, once you get into the, you can do double passes, but you would obviously want to cut your power in half probably. You're just removing too much material. But I got my settings dialed into the point where I'm happy at the depth that I get in one pass, and the time. If it were to do that 2 times, it's double the job. It's on the machine for another hour and a half.
So sorry, that was my next question. It takes you an hour and a half, like from start to finish, or is it just the engraving?
No, this one right here takes 50 minutes on the 80 watt. If I were, double that, or if the 80 watts tied up and it's going on the Speedy 100, then it's in there for about an hour and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 40 watts, 45 watts. So it's
right. Yeah. Yep. So it's a little slower. It's same results, but it definitely is slower. Results, and it's one of the reasons why, I picked up a second machine, is just to do those longer run jobs that I know I have on that machine. And then, all the other stuff that I cut and engrave that can get in and out real quick on the 80 watt.
And you're speaking about, you're thinking about getting the 400. Is there any reason? Is it just because of bed size? I mean, what would you want to do with the Speedy 400?
I would love to have something that's 120 watt. I think, what is it, the 360?
Yeah, 300 is 120 watt too, but
I would like the 360 with speed. And does it have a bigger bed size than the 300?
Yeah. Yes, it's 20 by 32.
Right. So I think that would, I got standard 36-inch doors at the shop, so that would fit in my shop better. I hope to eventually build my own shop or move to a bigger place where I could have just a bigger overall engraver in general. But for what I could fit in my shop right now, maybe the 360 is what would fit best without having to, modify anything. and it's just bigger bed, faster, and then get the higher wattage with it.
And the higher wattage. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
I was going to say the 400 comes apart. You can take it through the door if you want.
Oh, does it? Yeah,
Yep.
I didn't know.
Yep.
I just they're like big squares, and it's like, man,
Who's your rep, Frank?
I bought all mine's used, so I don't have a.
Oh, you didn't deal with Frank. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I
was going to say he'd come down and help you carry it in. So.
Yeah, they. But honestly, a point to their quality. I've bought mine used, and they still run every day, no problems. Very little issues, if at all, that I have to call tech support in general just to get through it. But they're built like tanks.
How old is each machine?
The 300.
Roughly when you bought it.
Yeah, I think the 100 was a 2010 production date.
Wow. Yeah.
That's incredible. And then just one last question I wanted to ask about the wattage. Why do you want to get more wattage? Is that because to engrave faster, or you want to do thicker materials?
Definitely engrave faster. It could open the door to thicker materials, and I don't know. Engraving is more so what I'd be after. Cutting, if I get into it, but the materials I deal with now, it has no problems cutting. It's definitely just the engraving time, especially when I seen that difference between 40 and 80 on that particular plaque. It's like, it's just a time saver. It's a energy saver. So, those are the reasons. And
you know about the pass through on the 400, right?
Yeah, that is nice. That would open the door to a lot of other, things that I can do for sure.
Like the speed on that machine is just ridiculously fast. Yeah. So if you're looking for a fast machine, I think the new 400 is the way to go.
Totally.
Yeah, hopefully, that'll be in my future. The door opening on the 300 has saved me a few times with bigger items. So that's definitely something that I can see being useful.
One last quick question before we end this. LCD is asking if it's 500 DPI, the map.
Yeah, probably. I can't remember offhand, but I do. I don't get too crazy with the DPIs. I don't see much of a difference in 500 to the 333. So you could probably run them in that as well. I just leave the settings as what they are and just run the job.
Yeah, you'd have to slow it down just to get the same depth, right? If you're going to 333. So
yeah, so I kind of just, I leave the settings at what they were. I know they work, and that way, I guess if my tube ever starts to degrade in power or anything, I'll notice right away because those settings are always what they are, and I know what it should look like, so I don't vary too much from them.
Perfect. So we're just at the top of the hour. I think we'll end it there. We didn't even get to a lot of the priority questions. I guess this is such an interesting show to talk to Danny and see, just find out everything and anything about his business. So I really want to thank you, Danny, for taking the time to be with us. If you guys want to check out his Instagram, Etsy, Facebook, and Twitter page, it's D-Nice Customs, or just Google D-Nice Customs. You'll find it. And I guess they could reach out to you and just buy anything that's on there, right? On Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely. And just one last thing too, when you're branding your business and using these social medias and stuff like that, it's good to keep your name consistent. Try to keep it just what it is everywhere. If you start adding underscores or hashtags or switching it up, now it's harder for those people to find you and they don't know if you're associated with that business, and you are. So D-Nice Customs across the board is everything, whether you use it or not. Like, I don't use my Twitter much, but it's there and I got the name. So if I need it, it's available.
Oh, that's a good final tip. Awesome. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend, guys, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.